Hey guys, Jordan Correces, co-founder of the WLMA here, and today I have a really special video for you. So from my 20s to my 30s, I've really learned so much. From struggling to build a wedding photography business, to learning everything I needed to know to build a six-figure wedding photography business, to now our team working with almost 1,000 wedding photographers and filmmakers worldwide and helping a ton of them scale to deep six-figure levels. And now even to our company now, where the past 3 years, we've sold over $1 million in revenue. And there are still so many things I want to learn and achieve. But through those years from my early 20s to 30s, I'm 31 right now, there are so many things I wish I could go back in time now to when I was 20 and give certain pieces of advice on things, what to do, what not to do, to build the life and the business that I wanted much, much faster. As a wedding photographer, as an entrepreneur, and just as a human in general. And even if you're not in your 20s right now, maybe you're in your 30s or your 40s or 50s and are struggling with your business, or maybe your wedding photography or filmmaking business. These tips are going to be huge to getting you to where you want to be so much faster. So in this video, I'm going to dive into the top 10 things I wish I could have told myself when I was 20. Also, I forgot to mention, every single week we're posting content like this to help more wedding photographers and filmmakers scale to their dream levels, even reach those deep six-figure levels. So if you don't want to miss out on that content, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button right now. We're also always giving free resources to scale your business in the caption of our videos. So after this video, make sure to check out the caption of this video so you can get some awesome resources to help grow your business. Anyways, let's get started. Now, number 1 of 10 of the things I wish I could have told myself in my early 20s is this. And it is, you are solely responsible for where your life is and where it will end up. You are the only one responsible for your life. And the reason for that is we live in a world where it's popular to be the victim and blame outwardly for where you are. Whether if that's the job you currently have right now, the level that your business is at right now. Everything about where our life is at right now is our responsibility. But it's so easy to be the victim, to blame outwardly to other people, to mentors, to the government, whatever it may be. But even if there are variables that made things more difficult for us and was not necessarily our fault, this type of mindset is counterproductive. And I 100% believe this. It is impossible to build a successful business if you have a victim mindset. If you're always blaming the outcome of where you're at on other people or other things or circumstances. It is 100% our responsibility. So if we really want to be successful, maybe you're a wedding photographer or filmmaker and you want to take your wedding photography business to those six-figure levels, you need to understand that not only is it 100% our responsibility for where we are at now and where we're going to be, but we need to stop waiting for some hero or savior to take action for us. We have to do this ourselves. When things go wrong, we need to take responsibility for that. I used to have this victim mindset myself whenever I was frustrated thinking about how much I was struggling in my wedding photography business. But to get out of that, it took evaluating, number 1, who I was, where I wanted to be, and the steps that I needed to take to, number 1, change who I was to be the person who can achieve what I wanted to achieve, and figure out those action steps to get there. And anything bad, good, or neutral that happened to me or my business, I had to take full responsibility if I wanted to get out of that and get in a better situation. So that is number 1. You are solely responsible for where your life is and where it will end up. All the decisions are up to you. Now, number 2. This one's very specific because it's something that I wish I knew in my early 20s when I was in the beginning stages of my business. And it is this: mastering sponsored advertising and marketing funnels is the fastest way to scale most businesses. And I say most because I know not every single business structure and niche sponsored ads and marketing funnels will work the best for. But I know for a fact that for most niches, and especially the wedding photography and wedding filmmaking business, sponsored ads and marketing funnels is the fastest way to grow. And if I knew this in the beginning stages of my business, I would have been able to scale to the six figures much, much faster without so much trial and error. Because in my journey, I was on The Knot, I was on Wedding Wire, I was hustling social media, I was commenting on all these Facebook groups, trying to hustle that word of mouth and referrals. But it was taking so long. And when I finally mastered sponsored ads and marketing funnels, what I would normally accomplish in maybe like a year, we could do literally in months, which is insane. And what's pretty crazy now, I follow a lot of wedding photographers who are really, really good. And I've been following their journeys. And many of them, they don't make it to the six-figure level. Some of them, they do make it to the six-figure level, but it takes years and years and years to even get to that point. But for a lot of our students, when they master sponsored advertising and marketing funnels, and of course, the right sales tactics as well, we've helped a lot of our students scale to the six figures in even as little as 6 to 9 months. Compare 6 to 9 months to like 3 to 5 years, which is absolutely insane. So if I knew this, if I could go back in time when I was 20 and just be like, hey, stop wasting all this time and all these other things, just master sponsored advertising, marketing funnels, get your in-person sales on point, I would have gotten to the levels that I wanted to in 3 times the speed. Now, number 3, prioritize mastering profit-producing skills. The crazy thing is, I can tell how successful an entrepreneur is going to be by the skill sets that they have and the level of mastery in those skill sets. And if I were able to go back in time to my early 20s when I was first getting to business, when I was first trying to figure out what I needed to learn, I would have told myself, stop wasting time and just master these main skills. So the first one is sales. Being able to communicate with those wedding prospects in an in-person consultation, whether if that's on Zoom or actually in person, and communicate to them in a way so they can truly see your true value. So you can get those high ticket $5,000 to $10,000 weddings. The second one is copywriting, which is pretty much sales but in written form, but knowing how to use the power of words to market and sell. All of this has to do with psychology. The third, Facebook ads, Google ads, and YouTube ads. You know how to use these platforms, sponsored ads for those, you'll never worry about people not knowing about your business. And then number 4 over here, building and managing a marketing funnel and content creation. Once you actually get those leads from the sponsored ads, having the skills to build a brand with that and turn these strangers you generated into raving fans. I'm mentioning these first 4 first because these are the highest profit producing skills. If you master these skills right over here, you'll never go hungry again. The next skills that I think are really important to learn is branding, both the visual and non-visual aspects of that. Because those skills, when it comes to branding, is what builds longevity in your brand. These 4 skills at the top over here will help you bring cash flow quickly with speed. The branding skills will help build longevity with your brand. And then of course, accounting and taxes. You have to know how to manage money. You have to know how to manage your taxes and save as much as you can from those taxes as well. And another thing I just wanted to add on to this as well is mastery takes repetition. As photographers, we know that if we want to master the art of photography or filmmaking, it takes a lot of photos, practicing certain skills, a lot of editing, working in a lot of different situations of light. And through a lot of repetition of doing that, you start to build mastery. We seem to forget that when it comes to mastering business skills. Oftentimes people think that they just read one sales book, they read one copywriting book, they run their first ad, they think they're already a pro at this. But just like it takes repetition to build your photography skills, it takes repetition to master these profit producing skills. So don't just take time to learn these things, make sure that you are getting your reps in. So that is number 3, prioritize mastering profit producing skills. And if I could have given myself this list 11 years ago, I would have saved so much time to getting to where I wanted to be. Now, number 4. You don't need college to become a pro photographer or an entrepreneur. Now, I hate saying this one because I did go to college and I respect a lot of my teachers and what they do. I have a lot of respect for that. And I went to college studying photography and a little bit of business as well. But at the same time, while I was in college, I was reaching out to mentors and workshops, learning from some of the best in the industry of photography and business. And what I came to find is everything that I learned in college, I learned more and even better from my mentors and the workshops in a more practical sense, because these were people who were in the game building success from these strategies right now. And the thing is, a college degree, one, it takes forever to get. And there's a ton of unnecessary classes that you need to take. But you're spending the high 5 figures to 6 figures on an expensive piece of paper that none of your clients are going to care about. All they care about is if your work is good and you provide an amazing service that reaches their desires. When I could have just learned that on my own and through the right people, mentors, workshops, programs to get me to where I wanted to be faster, for much cheaper. Instead of spending high 5 figures to 6 figures on a degree, you can easily just spend a few thousand if you can find the right people to learn from. So unless you want to become like a nurse, a lawyer, a doctor, etc., you don't need a college degree. You don't need to go to college. If you want to become a professional photographer or filmmaker, or maybe just an entrepreneur, you can do so. And the best shortcut is by learning from the right people who have achieved or have helped people achieve what you want. So that's number 4. And number 5 of what I wish I could have told myself back in time. Focus and discipline is half the work. Now, let me explain a little bit more about that. So in your journey to growing your business or attaining the skills you need, maybe it's in photography or business, attaining the knowledge is 50% of the battle. Maybe you found the right workshops, the right mentors, the right programs to learn the things that you actually need to know. That's 50% of the battle. But having intense focus and discipline for consistent implementation is the other 50%. And this is what most people are missing, especially people who are younger. They can be a little bit more naive on what it really takes to reach the success that they want. So when I'm even working with my students, I'm not so worried about them attaining the knowledge. The big question I have is once they've attained that knowledge, will they implement this consistently long term so they can reach the success that they desire? I'm not just talking about consistently the next 30, 60, or 90 days. Are they going to make this a long-term strategy that they implement consistently for the rest of their life? Are they going to have focus? Are they going to build discipline? Are they going to build those habits that you need to succeed? Are they going to be relentless in their pursuit? Those are the people who will be successful. Because I remember there was a time in my early 20s where I would just read a bunch of books. I had a ton of this knowledge, but my implementation sucked. I was lazy, I wasn't disciplined, but it's when I realized that it was me who needed to change. I needed to change my internal focus so I could actually implement these strategies and see results from it. That's when things really started to thrive. So you cannot forget this one. Number 5, focus and discipline is half the work. Your implementation, attaining the knowledge, is the other 50%. Now, number 6, this one's an interesting one that I think is really important both in your journey of learning, looking for mentors, and in your journey when you've built that success as well. So number 6 is trust in those who bear fruit of true virtue. Do not be impressed by charisma and charm. And there's two areas I particularly want to pinpoint that I think are really important. Now, when you're in the beginning phases of trying to learn how to grow your business, there's the big question of who can I trust? And I've experienced that myself. I've worked with mentors who were absolutely amazing, some who weren't so good, and then some where I felt like I got burned. And what I've learned is to not be so impressed by what people always tell me, by their charisma or charm, but to pay closer attention to their actual character. Is this an honest person? Is this someone who is truthful? And do they have a lot of student testimonials and everything to be able to back this up as well? But then it really comes to when you really start to build success as well. And this is a really interesting thing that I started experiencing as well. Because as you start to grow, as you start to build a fan base, you'll start finding colleagues and peers come to you, coming in the sense that they want to help, but sometimes they're just looking to leech off of your success or leverage their own power off of your success. And you have to be very careful. Sometimes these people can come off very charismatic, friendly, and charming. And you think that working with these people can help you get to where you want to be. But don't be fooled by that outward layer of charisma and charm. Dig in deep and see if they bear fruit of true virtue. So what does this mean, virtue? So I made a post on Facebook not too long ago, and I said this: virtue is one thing in life worth striving for, but attained by few. Don't be impressed by those who have charisma or charm. These are gifts that inspire, but can equally lead astray. Be impressed by those who possess real virtue, which I mentioned what it is here: truth, justice, self-control, and courage. Virtue is one thing in life worth striving for, but attained by few. So if you're in the phase where you're looking for people to learn from, mentors, workshops, programs, to maybe learn the arts, or to maybe learn the business aspects of things, make sure these people running these programs are people with character of true virtue. Make sure there's a lot of testimonials, a lot of results for students who can back this up as well. And when you start to build success, be careful for those who want to leech off of your success or leverage your success for their own power. And the only way to do that is to take a deeper look than what they're showing you and look if they bear fruits of true virtue. Now, number 7, focus on what you can control. Now, the past 2 years, I've been really focused on learning from the wisdom of the great Stoics in our history. And focusing on what you can control is one of the main things they preach about all the time. And this is so important because in life and our business, there are always things that are going to be going wrong. No matter how prepared you are, things are going to go wrong in your business, whether if it's your fault or things out of your control. And there's really no point in stressing and worrying about the things that we cannot control. It's so important to be able to focus what's right in front of us, the things that we can work on. And one of the things that we can always control is our mind, our emotions, and the thoughts that we let stay there. And I love this quote by one of the Stoics, Epictetus, where he says, "There's only one way to happiness, and that is to cease worrying about the power of our will." And I'll add to that there: learn from the past, prepare for the future, but live 100% in the present time. And if you find yourself worrying or stressing about things that happened in the past or that are possibilities of things that could happen, it's absolutely pointless. Only focus on the present. Anything on your mind that is not serving you to get to where you want to be, you have to let it go. So learn from the great Stoics. Focus on what you can control. Now, number 8, who you are is a myth. Now, sometimes when I say this to people, it can trigger people. And the reason is because us as humans, we can be so attached to the identities that we place upon ourselves. Maybe that is the identities we place ourselves when it comes to politics. Maybe that is the identity we place upon ourselves when it comes to religion, worldviews, or even the characteristics within ourselves. I'm a lazy person. I'm a poor person. I'm not good enough. I could never achieve that. Oh, so you've just got to accept me as who I am. But what I've found is all of this is fake. Who you are is a myth. You can completely transform and change who you are, especially to achieve the things that you want to achieve. And I know this because through many, many years, I've done this myself. But it doesn't just happen with age. You have to be very, very intentional about it. And if you don't get what I'm saying, let me go a little bit more in detail with my story and show you. And this is a little bit of my transformation. So in the early days of working on growing my business in my early 20s, I was a totally different person. I was distracted, lazy, and a video game addict. I could barely work for an hour or two before I was already binge watching Netflix or playing video games. I'd barely get any work done. I was a photographer with a victim mindset, with no clear direction on what I wanted in my life. Anything that went wrong in my life, I would blame it outwardly on others, on the government, on bad mentors that I chose. I did not take full responsibility for my life. Yet I wanted to achieve these great things. And I want you to tell me this. How could someone with this description right over here, distracted, lazy, video game addict, victim mindset, no responsibility for my life, how would it ever be possible for that type of person to build a thriving business? It is actually impossible because I would self-sabotage my way every single step through my journey. I had to change everything about myself, what I identified with, who I thought I was. It didn't just take getting older, it took intentionality in every aspect of my life. So now, in my 30s, I'm totally different. I'm laser focused. I'm disciplined. I can work all day if I need to, and I actually enjoy it. I'm an absolute learning machine who can take on really big challenges and projects that need to be worked on, which I would not have been able to do 10 years ago. I've totally changed most of my bad habits into good ones. I know what my mission is. I'm an adaptable entrepreneur. And I know I'm not perfect, but I do try my best to be a virtuous person. And a lot of people think that these transformations will change just because they get older, but that is very far from the truth. I've seen people go through 20 years of their life from 20 to 40 and are still the same person. But if you want to achieve great things, you have to change who you are in every aspect. You have to become the person who can actually lead and achieve those things. And that takes a cold, hard look in who you are right now. Ask yourself right now, are you the person who can achieve what you want to achieve? Think about the bad habits and bad characteristics that you have. Think about those things that are a part of you that you identify with. And are you willing to do what it takes to change those things, to become a new person so you can take your life and your business to where you want it to be? So I don't care how controversial this might sound to people, who you are is a myth. Everything you think you identify with can change, but you have to be intentional about that. Now, number 9, avoid shiny object syndrome. Less is more. Keep the main thing the main thing. So what does this even mean? So I'm going to go over to this diagram right over here. And as you can see, there's a wire that's all very messy and the light bulb is not lighting. Then you see this very straightforward wire lighting up the light bulb. Now think of this as your business. If the light bulb is shining, that means your business is successful. If the light bulb is not shining, it means your business is not successful. And the wires are the strategies that you use. Now, this is what most people's businesses look like. They're working on one strategy 1 month, they can't get it to work. So they give up, they work on another strategy 1 month, they can't get it to work. And so on and so on and so on. And by the time you know it, they have 6 different strategies that they use. Their attention is spread so thin that they're not getting anywhere in their business. That's what most people's businesses actually look like. When it needs to look like this, you figure out what are the 1 or 2 most efficient and powerful strategies. You stick to it, you master it, and therefore you get more results from it. This is the philosophy that you want to not only run your business with, but your life. Have a less is more philosophy, a more minimalistic philosophy in your life and business. And through that, you'll find a lot more results. And when people run a business like this over here on the left, we call that shiny object syndrome. When they can't get something to work, they look at the next shiny object, the next shiny button, and they end up on this cycle for the rest of their life. And it takes focus and discipline to figure out which one is the most powerful and efficient and actually stick to it and master it and get the most results from it. You're keeping the main thing the main thing. So number 9, avoid shiny object syndrome. Less is more. Keep the main thing the main thing. And finally, last but not least, number 10, perfectionism is the enemy of action. In my early 20s, I would always wait for everything to be just right to actually take important action, especially when it came to my business. I was always procrastinating. But as they say, procrastination is the destroyer of dreams. So oftentimes what I see a lot of entrepreneurs do, they have important things they need to do, important actions that they need to take when it comes to growing their business, but they're waiting until they have more time. Well, guess what? Something is always going to come up. You're never going to have more time. Maybe they're waiting for more money so they can build up a surplus to more comfortably invest in themselves. Honestly, most of the time, that'll never happen. I remember my wife and I, one of our first big investments we made on one of our mentors was an investment of $2,000. We barely had that in our bank, yet we took the plunge and we did it. And if we never made that investment, we would have never been where we are at today. So sometimes, even when time and money is a little bit tight, you have to make the plunge because life is always going to catch up to you. You have to be able to go all in, have some skin in the game. Maybe you're waiting for less stress. Something is always going to come up. Maybe you're even waiting for approval. Maybe you're worried about the opinions of others. Maybe you have a business partner that isn't quite aligned. Or maybe you even have a spouse who's not quite seeing the vision that you see. And sometimes that approval will just never come and you have to do what's right. Or you're waiting for certainty in a life that is honestly just uncertain. These are all things that are uncertain and likely not going to happen. But when you have a perfectionist mindset, you're waiting for all these different things to come into play. It never does. Years down the road, you're still in the same boat. And what I found, the most successful entrepreneurs, they aren't perfectionists, they're just action takers. They know what needs to be done and they do it even if the action is imperfect, even if the circumstances are not perfect. Everyone that I've seen who's gotten to really amazing levels very quickly had that action taker mindset to be able to take those risks and not wait for perfection because it'll never come. And I love this quote by one of the great Stoics, Seneca. He said, "Putting things off is the biggest waste of life. It snatches away each day as it comes and denies us the present by promising the future. The greatest obstacle to living is expectancy, which hangs upon tomorrow and loses today. You are arranging what lies in fortune's control and abandoning what lies in yours. What are you looking at? To what goal are you straining?" And listen right here. The whole future lies in uncertainty. Live immediately. And I promise you this, if you're someone who is a perfectionist and you're always waiting for these things to come perfectly aligned before you take action, before you take risks, I promise you that 1, 2, 3, maybe 5 years down the road, you're going to be in the exact same situation as you are today. You have to get rid of this mindset. So let's rewind. These are the 10 things we went over that I wish I could have told myself in my 20s. Number 1, you are solely responsible for where your life is and where it will end up. Number 2, mastering sponsored advertising and marketing funnels is the fastest way to scale most businesses. Number 3, prioritize mastering profit-producing skills. I can tell how successful one will be just by the skills that they acquire. Number 4, you don't need college to become a pro photographer or entrepreneur. Number 5, focus and discipline is half the battle. 50% of it is actually attaining the knowledge. The other 50% is the focus and discipline to actually implement it for the rest of your life. Number 6, trust in those who bear fruit of true virtue. Do not be impressed by charisma and charm. Number 7, focus on what you can control. Remember, learn from the past, prepare for the future, but live 100% in the present time, and you are in control of your mind. Do not let the past and future bring up stress and worry. Number 8, who you are is a myth. Everything you identify with can change. Pinpoint the negative things, pinpoint what is positive, and be intentional to change those characteristics and habits so you can be the leader to achieve your dream goals. Number 9, avoid shiny object syndrome. Less is more. Keep the main thing the main thing. Have a minimalistic philosophy when it comes to your business and life. And last but not least, number 10, perfectionism is the enemy of action. Write those down. So I hope you guys found this video incredibly helpful. The top 10 things I wish I could have told myself when I was 20. Be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on more of our content. If you have topics that you want us to talk about, make sure to leave us a comment. Or if you have top tips that you wish you could have told yourself 10, 20 years ago, feel free to add those in the comments as well. Remember, more free resources in the caption of this video if you want to scale your wedding photography or filmmaking business as fast as you can. And we'll see you on the next video.